It's nearby! We actually found it nearby!
These are some of the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns in 1.19. The first speedrunner begins by breaking wood and making some tools, where they then find a nearby village, where they enter a blacksmith house and find an enchanting table, which don't spawn in blacksmiths. He also then conveniently finds a netherite sword and bottles of enchanting in the chest right beside it, which have clearly been placed in creative mode. Now after enchanting his sword, he looks to kill an iron golem. Is that a diamond golem that literally drops diamonds when killed? He then needs to find a nearby ruined portal. And is that just me, or does that not look like a real ruined portal at all? And the portal is assured to be fake due to there being a trap chest instead of a normal chest. Now once entering the nether, the speedrunner needs to find a fortress, where he digs into this wall, turns around, and magically finds one. But this fortress was clearly not here when he spawned in. The speedrunner then finds a blaze spawner. However, this is clearly not where a normal blaze spawner is usually located, meaning the speedrunner placed this here in creative mode. After collecting all of his blaze rods, the speedrunner makes the interesting choice of heading back to the overworld, without ever going to a bastion where normal speedrunners get ender pearls. However, when he spawns back in, he somehow has 16 ender pearls, which he must have just gotten off camera. The speedrunner then attempts a known speedrun technique known as triangulation. However, when comparing his technique to a real speedrun, he clearly has no idea what he's doing and he's just throwing the eyes in random directions. But he somehow still comes up with the exact spot to dig down from. And what do you know? This leads him straight to the end portal room. The speedrunner clearly didn't use triangulation, but located this using spectator mode. And once the speedrunner enters the end, he finds a random chest with beds where he spawns, which is clearly fake, so let's just move on. This next speedrunner begins with the speedrunner spawning right next to a village, where he already has XP before the run starts. And after collecting some hay, why is there not 1, but 2, 3, 4, and 5 iron golems in the village, when a normal village only contains 1? He then travels to a set of village houses, where one of the doors has somehow already been opened. And then he finds 11 ender pearls in the village chests, which is impossible as ender pearls can't spawn in these village chests, meaning he clearly placed them before the run started. And when he goes to kill the iron golem to get some iron, he doesn't get the achievement for collecting it, meaning he had already messed with the golems before he started recording. He then finds a nearby shipwreck to go loot, where he happens to find 9 blaze rods, which is impossible. Blaze rods can't spawn in shipwreck chests. He then locates a nearby ruins portal, where he finds the exact amount of obsidian needed to complete it. But he already has eyes of ender. Why does he need to go to the nether at all? Is that even possible? And after entering the end, the run's pretty normal, so we're moving on. This next speedrun begins with the runner mining wood and making some tools, where he locates a nearby village. But for a split second, we can see a very strange item in his inventory. Remember this for later. The speedrunner goes around the village houses until he reaches the blacksmith, where he not only finds a chest with a water bucket, but a portal? How is he at a lava pool? After forming his nether portal, he then enters into the nether, where he locates a nearby fortress, but only decides to kill a single blaze. And he also finds an ender pearl at a very suspicious and obviously fake chest in the fortress, which he clearly placed in creative mode. And when he turns around, he finds another portal, which leads him straight back to the nether portal. Now, with only 1 eye of ender, the speedrunner begins to locate the stronghold. And once he does, he digs down and enters the end portal room, where the end portal has 11 eyes of ender already placed, which has over a 1 in 9 billion chance of happening. But the speedrunner has no beds, so how is he gonna kill the ender dragon? Well, do you remember earlier in the speedrun where he had a very interesting item in his inventory? Well, it turns out to be a detonator, and I'll just let the footage speak for itself.
It's nearby! We actually found it nearby!
This next speedrunner starts off by mining wood and crafting some tools, where he then finds a nearby shipwreck where he finds some pretty good loot, except for the fact that it's impossible for obsidian to spawn in a shipwreck chest. He then uses the obsidian to complete a nearby ruined portal, where he spawns in right next to a fortress. Now after collecting his 7 blaze rods, he happens to find a bastion right next door, where he finds an abnormal amount of piglins and manages to get 4 stacks of ender pearls, which is clearly impossible. He then makes his way back to the overworld, where he digs down at a very specific block, which just so happens to drop him straight into the stronghold. And after entering the end, how has the ender dragon already lost some health? And why have all of the crystals been removed from the pillars? Let's just move on. This next speedrunner spawns in right next to a desert pyramid. But why is the floor filled with sand and not sandstone? And the center block is lapis lazuli, not blue terracotta, meaning the speedrunner clearly messed with it before recording. And when he drops down, there isn't a pressure plate at all. And everyone knows desert temples have a pressure plate. And of course, every chest has extremely overpowered items. After leaving the village, the speedrunner needs to find a ruined portal. So why is he digging down at this random lake? Well, of course, the digging leads him straight down to a ruined portal. He then spawns into the nether directly next to a fortress, where he doesn't even bother to fight any blazes, but instead finds 8 blaze rods in a fortress chest, which is clearly impossible as they don't even spawn here. He then finds a bastion right next to the fortress, and after trading with piglins, he gets all of the pearls he needs and heads back to his portal. But on the way back, he notices a very strange shape in the ground, which has clearly been tampered with for a nether portal to be built here. And after digging down straight off spawn, he drops straight into the strongholds. And after lighting the portal, the speedrunner spawns directly onto the surface instead of the black obsidian platform like a real speedrun. The rest is normal, we're moving on. This next speedrunner literally exposes himself using a keyboard cam. The run starts off and the runner spawns in a good seed near an underwater crevice, where he begins to create a nether portal using the magma. And this is where the first sign of it being fake start to show up. The speedrunner appears to have his hands completely off his mouse for a brief second, yet he simultaneously places the flint and steel, which lights the nether portal on fire. How would it be possible if he never even clicked his mouse? Now he then spawns directly next to a bastion, where he gets some extremely lucky trades, and his seed also happens to have a fortress pearl distance away from the bastion, which is extremely rare. And this is where things get very fake. The speedrunner appears to crack his knuckles where both hands are clearly away from the keyboard and mouse, while his gameplay is showing him fighting blazes at the exact same time. Pause. Let's do a bit of digging because this is literally impossible. And after going to the official speedrun.com website, we see the 47th fastest speedrun ever, where the gameplay is shockingly similar to the speedrun we just saw. And it's clearly fake when you realize the speedrunner simply placed his keyboard cam over a speedrun that had already existed. Subscribe for even more fake Minecraft speedruns.